Hey, what's up everybody? I'm David McGill, and based on some conversations that I've been having with people lately, I'm getting the idea that a lot of people out there think that running a trucking business is easy. And I can tell you, as a person with a lot of experience with running their own trucking business, I can tell you that it's not always easy. Now, sometimes you do have your good days, but sometimes there can be some very difficult days as well. Now, the point of this video is I want to share with you guys some of my experiences of some of those bad days so that, you kind of have an idea of what to expect when you're running your own trucking business and some of the problems that you can run into. So in this specific video, I'm going to talk about the worst night that I had in trucking, where I actually experienced 2 breakdowns in the same night. So on this particular day, this was last fall, I got a call from one of my favorite brokers, and he had 2 loads available that were dropping hook loads that were picking up in Indianapolis and delivering down in Louisville. Now, for those who don't know, Louisville is about 120 miles south of Indianapolis. And so I gave one of my drivers a call and asked him if he was interested in running those 2 loads, and he agreed. He picks up the first load in a day cab that, for whatever reason, he prefers to run the day cabs over the sleepers. So he gets to Louisville, and I get a call from him at about 9 o'clock or so on Friday night, where he told me that the truck had broke down on him when he was only a few miles away from the delivery. So my thought was I was going to get a tow truck to come out and tow the truck and trailer to the delivery, disconnect the trailer, and leave the trailer there, and have the truck towed to a repair shop out in Louisville. So that was the plan for recovering the first load. Now, as far as the second load goes, I spoke to another driver, and he agreed to pick up that loaded trailer from Indianapolis and take it down to Louisville as well. Now, on his way out to Louisville, my thought was, hey, I'll have him deliver that second load, and then pick up driver number 1, and then they'll ride back to Indianapolis together. Now, it sounded like a good plan, but plans don't always, things don't always go according to plan. So I got a call from him where he told me that the lights, it seems like there was an electrical issue where the dashboard lights were dimming, and things like that. It seemed like the truck was losing power. So eventually his truck actually broke down on the side of the road also. So now let's go back to load number 1. The tow truck had picked up my driver, the truck and trailer, and got it to delivery number 1, and they got the trailer disconnected, got the trailer sitting in the dock, and all of that good stuff. And my driver told me that once they did that, the truck started back up. So we were thinking like, all right, cool, we dodged a bullet. We should be able to drive the truck back home now, back to Indianapolis. So now I have driver number 2 stuck on the side of the road, and driver number 1 is, bobtailing back to Indianapolis from Louisville. Well, eventually truck number 1 ended up shutting off again. So at that point, I had to figure out what to do next. So what I ultimately ended up doing was getting a tow truck to pick up truck number 2 and that trailer, and delivering it to delivery number 2. We dropped that trailer in the dock for delivery number 2, and the tow truck brought the sleeper and the driver back to Indianapolis. That was a tow. That was like a $2,700. I think it was like $1,700. That was a $1,700 tow from Louisville to Indianapolis. Now, by this time, I had jumped in my car and I went down to Louisville to pick up driver number 1. So, once I got there, he got in the car, we left the truck on the side of the road, and we came back to Indianapolis. So by the time I got back to Indianapolis, it was probably, maybe 3 or 4 in the morning. And I remember it was really late, because for the next day, some of my drivers had already started to show up to the yard to hop in their trucks to, start the next day's work. So by the time I got back home, the outcome looked like this. I had the sleeper had been returned back to the yard on a tow truck, and the load was delivered to their delivery. The day cab, it had its load delivered, to the delivery also, but the day cab itself was still on the side of the road in Louisville. So the next day, when it was time to, figure out how to get these trucks repaired and, coordinating getting the day cab, to a shop, I had called my roadside repair guy, who he actually drove down to Louisville, got the truck running, and then on its way back, the fuel injector, it was actually an issue with the fuel injector. He got it started, and him and his son were driving back to Indianapolis, and it cut off again. So then at that point, he just went ahead and towed it with his truck and towed it back to his repair shop near Indianapolis. Now on the sleeper that was back in Indianapolis already, come to find out it was either the starter or the alternator. I forget which one. So my roadside guy, his son had actually came out and replaced either the starter or the alternator, whichever one it was on that truck. I don't remember how much I paid for that, but it was maybe $700 or so for parts and labor. So the crazy part about that is I didn't actually need to get the truck towed all the way back to Indianapolis. So, I spent about $1,700 on that tow, but if I had a clearer mind at the time, I would have just got it towed to, a shop out in Louisville and waited till the next day to see if, they could have done that repair. But I also found out from my repair guy that, what would have been even better is to just have them go down there to pick the truck up, and they could have performed that repair right on the side of the road, to where, I would have paid a little bit more money for them to go out there and, and fix it. However, I would have saved the $1,700 in tow fees. So it was overall just a crazy night. And, I spent more money than I should have. And in case you're wondering, the ultimate repair on the day cab that had the fuel injector problem, that was actually covered under warranty. So that didn't cost me any money out of pocket for the repair, but it still cost me a lot of time and headaches, and also tow fees for that first delivery. That's something you can't really plan for that stuff. Like you never know when it's gonna happen. Like I said, this was a Friday night. I was actually sitting at the kitchen table. I was doing something at the kitchen table that night when I got those phone calls, when I had to jump out, leave out of my house in the cold and go and drive down to Louisville. So this is just one of the stories that I've had where things didn't go right in my trucking business. But this was probably the most inconvenient night I've ever had, running my trucking business. Now, the whole reason why I share that story with you guys is I want to give you guys an idea that, running a trucking business isn't always smooth and easy as a lot of you guys out there think. Like, there's a lot that goes into this stuff. And, if you're not built for it, if you're not expecting it, then, it could really put you in in a bad position. So hopefully you're able to, glean some kind of insight from this video and, learn from some of my past experiences to, hopefully help give you a better idea of what it's like to truly run your own trucking business on a day-to-day basis. So if you find this video helpful, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. If you have anything you'd like to add, anything you want to say, go ahead and leave a comment below. And as always, if you know somebody else who could benefit from this information, feel free to share this video with them. Thanks again for watching.